So coming out of the reporting that Pete Hegseth might well have committed a verifiable war crime in murdering the survivors of one of his big drone strikes in the Caribbean, he responded by sort of dodging responsibility for it and then posting a ridiculous AI meme. Conservatives love using AI for everything, of people being murdered in the Pacific. So that somehow wasn't a good response in the eyes of most people. So they're coming out with round two. Now, how are they going to avoid responsibility for this? And Pete Hegseth, obviously, he's a warrior, he's a very brave man. So he's doing the brave boy thing, which is pointing the finger at somebody else. Get mad at him, not me. He tweeted this: "Let's make one thing crystal clear as the crystal I store my whiskey in. Admiral Mitch Bradley is an American hero, a true professional, and has my 100% support. I stand by him and the combat decisions he has made on the September 2nd mission and all others since. America is fortunate to have such men protecting us. When this Department of War," I don't know what that is, we're gonna have to Google that, "says we have the back of our warriors, we mean it." And that is amazing because none of us were talking about Admiral Mitch Bradley. It's not like, Jordan Ewell is setting up an online petition to have people go to the Capitol and find the Admiral. And he's like, "No, you will not take down this great man. I stand between you and him." You guys brought him up. It was you and Carolyn Leavitt. You're posturing as if this is a thing of strength. You threw him under the boat. You let it just bonk, and then he's sinking below the waves, or at least that's the goal. Now, the number one defense remains the same. It's all legal or whatever, even though it's definitely not, as we'll get to. But the secondary defense now, okay, well, if it isn't legal, then it was him that broke the law. Okay, we'll see. The thing about it is, in the initial reporting, the sources said that Pete Hegseth ordered it, not this admiral. Now, I don't know, do they have a paper trail of that? Was one of the reporters in a telegram or something? I don't know. I don't know if they can prove that, but they seem to indicate that it was very much not Admiral Mitch Bradley. And anyway, this is a really weird way to handle what is actually a very serious thing. We were talking about war crimes. We're talking about murder, okay? And so I think it's a little bit weird. Even people in the mainstream media think that this is strange, even for this regime. Here is Jake Tapper.
Today, there is growing bipartisan concern on Capitol Hill about that second strike, with some suggesting that it could constitute a war crime. This is what White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt said about that earlier today.
Does the administration deny that second strike happened, or did it happen and the administration denies that Secretary Hegseth gave the order?
The latter is true, Abe.
To clarify, Admiral Bradley was the one who gave that order for a second strike.
And he was well within his authority to do so.
Now, please note, the Trump administration went from the Pentagon spokesman claiming, quote, the entire narrative is false. These people just fabricate anonymously sourced stories out of whole cloth. Fake news is the enemy of the people. He said that 2 days ago. To today, the White House confirmed the story. The Hegseth order, the September 2nd strike, the double tap, remarkable.
And if you remember, when we were talking about this yesterday on the show, we broke down Pete Hegseth's first communication about that. And we pointed out that although he, like Sean Parnell, referred to it as fake news, he did not actually deny that it had happened. Now, that was before they came up with the new excuse that it was actually Admiral Mitch Bradley or whatever. But this is still super serious. This was murder of defenseless civilians. These were not combatants. We are not in a war, and there was no danger to our troops. Now they're lying and saying that this was in self-defense. I mean, the people are barely clinging to the wreckage of a speedboat. If you think that they're gonna take down an aircraft carrier, well, then you probably voted for Donald Trump in the last election, but I don't buy it. And that's a pretty amazing flip-flop to do in just one day. It didn't happen to now, it did happen, but it was this dude that did it. And again, this is all following on from the big conversation we were having over the last 2 weeks about illegal orders. Suddenly seems like those 6 Democrats don't look as ridiculous as libs of TikTok wanted you to believe that they were. And I will also remind you, Pete Hegseth mocked them at that time. Now he's running from what appear to be the consequences of his actions. And so they're going to say that he is well within his authority or whatever, but according to the Pentagon's own Law of War manual, people who are, quote, wounded, sick, or shipwrecked on the high seas are supposed to be respected and protected in all circumstances by US forces, even during hostilities. And this wasn't even during hostilities. Well, I guess we were being hostile or whatever. As far as we have known, a single bullet has not been fired at any of our ships or at any of our drones by these supposed narco terrorists who might bring down America any day now. So it's not looking great for Pete Hegseth. But don't worry, there's time for other people on the right to fit in a little bit of not looking great. Let's turn to one of those right now. Megyn Kelly is collecting the worst possible takes, like Thanos trying to get the last Infinity Stone. Remember, of course, that she recently went to bat for people who like to have sex with 14, 15, and 16-year-olds recently, and I don't really see what the big deal is. That was what she said last week. That didn't go over too well with her audience, so she's got to win them back. And how do you do that? Bloodlust, bloodthirstiness on display, and we've got that, and it has to do with Pete Hegseth murdering those innocent people clinging to the wreckage of a speedboat. Take a look.
So I really do kind of not only want to see them killed in the water, whether they're on the boat or in the water, but I'd really like to see them suffer. I would like Trump and Hegseth to make it last a long time so that they lose a limb and bleed out a little. Like, I'm really having a difficult time ginning up sympathy for these guys who 10 seconds earlier almost got taken out by the initial bomb, but because they managed to get ejected, a little too soon, had to be taken out in the water. I realize legally it may make a difference, but truly, Mark, this is a tough case to really gin up the sympathies of the American people. Yeah.
Again, nobody's talking about sympathy. Have I mentioned sympathy? Have I mentioned, again, bearing in mind that some of them appear in past attacks to have just been fishermen, then yeah, actually maybe a little bit of sympathy for innocent people being murdered as part of a propaganda spree by the Trump regime to get people to support them again. That might be in order. In this particular attack, they do seem to have at least had drugs on the boat. But again, nobody's talking about sympathy, Megyn Kelly. We're talking about the law. You know, that thing that you very casually brushed aside a couple sentences into your rant, your desperate attempt to get your base to still like you. Yeah, that actually is supposed to count for something. Are we a nation of laws? I'm sure, have postured thinking that we were before or that we should be. Do you think that Donald Trump and Pete Hegseth or the Admiral should have to follow the law? And if not, then don't come crying if President Buttigieg or President Newsom or President Ocasio-Cortez starts breaking some laws, because you are the one that helped to normalize that. And also just like the general idea, I just want to see them suffer. I want to see their legs blown off. I want to see them bleed out. I don't feel like having any sympathy. I'm glad that she took her cross off for that one. This paragon of Christianity and morality that's gonna tell us what's ethical. Oh, she can gin up a whole bunch of moral judgment and all that. She can really center her supposed religion when it comes to demonizing a trans 9-year-old or whatever. But when it comes to Pete Hegseth killing these people, not so much. And also, they're just throughout what she said, there's this really pathetic weasel words like, oh, and then they had to be taken out. But that's the thing. They didn't have to be taken out when the boat had been destroyed, which, and again, I understand I'm jumping past this. I'm doing the bad thing that I said yesterday we shouldn't do. It was illegal to blow it up in the first place, but it's extra bonus illegal to murder the people afterward. You didn't have to kill them. In fact, the law says that you have to save them, and then think about what you could do with those people who you just captured, who are evidently gonna bring in drugs and kill 300 billion people here in America. You could put them on trial. You could question them, find out more about the terrorist organization they're a part of. But of course, Megyn Kelly has to pretend not to understand any of that, because her job is not to actually use her brain any more than her heart when it comes to this. It's to support whatever the administration is doing. And that comes in a lot of really grotesque forms. Justifying illegal murder is one of them. Justifying pedophilia was the flavor of a couple of weeks ago. And she has demonstrated over the last month That's all she's here for, is to just say the thing the regime needs her to say. She tried to go independent after she was fired from Fox News. That didn't work for her. And so she decided my supposed principles, whatever, that is worth infinitely less to me than having people tune into my stupid show. And she's demonstrating that every day.